Hello, would this be Mr. Vaughn Clark Stout, otherwise known as my father-in-law?
Yes, this is Russell Warren Kukla's father-in-law.
It is. Got it. Got something I want to share with you, Papa. If I were to ask you, what is Russell's goal? What is his primary goal that he's trying to achieve? I'm thinking you would struggle with sharing that. Am I correct or not?
You are correct.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
so moving forward, because I have always said you are a prayer warrior, I want to place this in your heart and in your mind so that this is something we can specifically pray to come into manifestation.
I'm ready for another manifestation.
Good. Because my goal, Dad, is to take better care of you and Dolly. And you're up there in Youngtown. We see you now every other Sunday. You're 88 and Dolly's 98.
Yes, that's right.
And you're in need of help, and I'd like to help you more. So if I can get you on task with me, understanding what Russell's trying to accomplish, that means others might also understand and choose to participate, which means choose to help either with their time and or their resources, otherwise known as money.
Oh, good. I'm always interested in facility for money.
Good.
Sickles.
Okay. Well, here's the point, Dad. Recently, you probably heard about there was a killing in Parkland, Florida, where a student massacred, killed three teachers, 14 fellow students. Some of them shot point blank in the head. Did you hear about that?
I haven't heard about it.
Yeah, it was a while ago, so things are calming down a little bit. My concern is right now I'm wearing a red shirt that says "No Teacher Left Behind," and it's called Red for Ed, which is teachers are demanding more pay. They want as much as a 20% increase in pay. So
Very good job.
my concern, dear father, is the tragedy in Florida. Teachers should be stepping back and saying, "Wait a minute. You know the old something's rotten in Denmark."
Yes.
There's a struggle that I believe is on our teachers and our students, our children, our teenagers, that's not understood. It's a burden, and I'm going to shift that burden to you and see how you like it. How's that?
Oh, I love that. I
Okay,
did hear about that shootout in Florida. Yes, I heard about it.
you did hear about that. Yes,
Yes.
and they're proposing now. The governor of Florida was proposing like a half a trillion dollars, $500,000 for bulletproof glass and bulletproof doors. So that's where they're thinking that's going to help our children and our teachers. So instead, Dad, I want you to understand, I believe the burden that's on our teachers and students. And then, if others understand this as well, hopefully others will help to lift this burden. So next time, actually this Sunday, when Carolyn and I visit you, I'm going to drop off one page that has the 54 African capitals on here, the 54 African capitals. And by next Sunday, you're going to have to achieve at least a letter grade of B, which means you'll have to answer correctly when I test you 48 of the 51, actually it's 54 African capitals. So that's the goal, dear Father. This Sunday, I'm going to drop you off the one page. You'll have 1 week until next Sunday. So normally we visit you every other Sunday, but while we're going through this, we're going to visit you every Sunday. And I'm going to test you on your ability to remember at least a B. 48 of the 54, I believe, is a B. And if you're not able to remember and pass the test, guess what happens?
You're going to put me in a memory ward with Dolly.
No, I'm going to lock up your golf cart so that you're going to have to be more or less staying at home until you pass this test. So I'm going to bring a chain with me. I got a pretty darn big chain here with a lock, a master lock. Well, next week I'll bring that. This Sunday, you'll receive the one page. Now remember, no cheating. You can't be Googling, you can't be picking up books about memorizing, you can't be asking friends how to do it, because that'd be like at school, and you're leaning over looking at the guy next to you's page trying to see what he's doing. So just on your own with your current knowledge you have. Now, you're a wordsmith like crazy, right? Your love for words, your passion for the root of words.
Yes.
Well, that's part of it, dear Father. Someday I want to get you on Facebook Live and just have you share how much you enjoy words and the root of words and understanding the English language, etc. So the root, dear Father, to create real change in our public education is to have teachers, children, teenagers, school board members, congressmen, congresswomen, senators, governors, presidents understand that we must get this foundation set, like you like the root of words. This is the root of learning. Sir Isaac Newton, all learning is but remembrance. We're not teaching our children a method for memorizing, a proven, dependable, repeatable method for memorizing. So they can't remember to pass these tests, and that's stressing everybody out. So how does it feel to have a test in your hands and in 1 week you got to remember? Should I give you an example of an African capital? I'll give you an easy one and see if you remember. The capital of Morocco is?
Morocco?
Uh-huh.
I don't know that one yet.
Okay, it's,
I know Johannesburg is South Africa.
well, this one would be Rabat or Rabat. How about Mozambique? We hear a lot about Mozambique. What's the capital of Mozambique, capital city?
I'll write it down after I study this.
Okay, it's Maputo. Maputo.
What's the capital of New York City? New York State.
Well, that's the point, dear Father. Actually, it's not the capital of New York. But the point is, I have another page here that's for fifth graders, Scientific Revolution Age of Enlightenment test. So on this page, they have 20 questions that they're asking the students. And something like the first one, he developed the first mercury barometer. Do you know who developed the first mercury barometer?
I think I remember, but I have heard that in the past, I can't think of it now.
Well, when you say you can't think of it, you can't remember it, right, Dan?
Probably so. I must be getting to be old to see now, huh?
No, that's just people misinterpret understanding for actually being able to remember. So when Sir Isaac Newton says all learning is but remembrance, is that there are things we need to remember to be able to keep moving forward. There are a lot of things we don't need to memorize and remember, and that's the point, Dad. I'm thinking out of all the things that children are being told to memorize in K-12 public education, so from first grade to 12th grade, possibly 80% of the things they're being told to memorize do not need to be memorized. So can you imagine if you had to walk around with a 100-pound weight on your shoulders, and I said, hey, dear Vaughn Clark Stout, I'm going to take 80 pounds of that off your shoulders so that you can move forward in a much more understandable way. Would you want to keep carrying that 100 pounds, or would you want Russell to pull off 80 and throw it along the roadside for you?
That would be nice. Get rid of the 80.
Here we go. Well, and possibly, because I'm just kind of, W. Edwards Deming said 94% of all problems in businesses and organizations are problems in structures and systems, only 6% problems with people. So everybody's really trying their best, everybody wants to succeed, everybody's trying to work together, but 94% of the problems they don't understand because they're structural problems. So it's like, 100 people being on the Titanic, and the Titanic's heading for an iceberg, and everybody says, hey, lean on this side of the boat, and we won't hit that iceberg. But as you know, we need to get down to, what is it, Dad, the rudder underneath the Titanic?
Yes, that would make a difference.
And if we change that rudder, oh so little, possibly even a little bit, it'll change the direction of the Titanic. Well, America started with No Child Left Behind many years ago. Then came our Ames testing here in Arizona, Arizona's instrument to measure standards. And then there came the charter schools. And now we're doing the Common Core. And next will be another program. And so the point of Robert Fritz's books, his book The Path of Least Resistance, is all the elements that make up the whole determine the behavior of the whole, like the Titanic. How do we know we see all the elements? Well, what I'm trying to share with you, dear Father, our educators, our politicians, our teachers, our parents, most Americans don't see that we're missing the foundation for learning. So if we establish the foundation, teaching children, teenagers how to memorize, And they can build on that and build a nice, large, intricate, complex structure for learning and for their career for creating. If we don't establish that foundation, then they struggle in their learning, which eventually leads to struggling in their career. So it's about the two books I have in front of me, dear Father, which I'll bring up to you to just show you, is Harry Lorraine's Super Memory Super Student, How to Raise Your Grades in 30 Days. So Super Memory Super Student, a proven, dependable, repeatable method for memorizing. The other book I have in my hand is Robert Fritz's Creating. We can understand, just like we can understand a method for memorizing, we can understand a method for creating. And what Russell's trying to say, dear Father, I've identified these two seemingly different methods as actually one method. We're using our brain in the same way. Just like when you paint, you've been doing painting, your artwork for how many years?
74.
No.
About 83 years.
About 83 of your 88 years? Well,
I still doing about 5. I started drawing at 5, 4 or 5.
and no,
I've been drawing about 85 years.
and no dementia with you after 83 years of doing your artwork, creating. Now, I don't want to bring it up as this is the cure-all, but Dolly, sweet Dolly's in what, third stage of dementia and Alzheimer's right now?
Fifth stage.
Fifth stage, okay. So the point is, dear Father, from the child learning a method for memorizing, learning a method for creating, using their brain in that way, all the way up to senior citizens, even at that stage, I believe if they learn a method for memorizing and learn a method for creating and start to create like you do, like I've encouraged at, you have your art class where you're teaching senior citizens how to create paintings, drawing, caricatures, things like that, that will still stimulate their brain, their hippocampus, and possibly greatly reduce dementia in America. So if we continue to let children use rote memory, they're not using their brain in the right way. If we continue to allow our children to look down and in and try and problem solve, trying to solve their problems and go on all sorts of different medications to help calm them down because they're looking inward towards themselves, trying to fix themselves, if we teach them how to create, they'll create wonderful things for our future. So that's the short, kind of long-winded story. I did that almost in one breath, but I had to sneak in a little air there.
Well, that was a wonderful dialogue with beautiful thoughts, incredible uplifting, strengthening, and very progressive. I'm proud of you.
Thank you for your compliments, dear Father. And it's at the heart of the heart. It's if I can get you on base with me, understanding and dialoguing about this, and I'm going to put the heat to you, dear Father. I'm not joking with you. I'm going to drop this page off on Sunday. 54 African capitals. By next Sunday, you're going to have to achieve a B. On here, I have 48 is 90% B. So 48, just to clarify with you, 48 of the 54, you have 1 week to do it. If you're not able to, I'm going to lock up your golf cart, and you're going to have to consider, like teachers consider or parents unfortunately consider about their children or students, gee, you must not care enough, Vaughn. Gee, you must not be working hard enough. Gee, you must not really want to remember those 54 African capitals, which you don't, but so what? This is what school's about. You got to memorize them. You got to be able to pass that test, Vaughn. Or I'm chaining up your golf cart. You're going to have to stay closer to home, which hopefully will encourage you, because you lack courage, dear Father. Hopefully that'll encourage you to stay home and memorize these African capitals. Good. And you, with your passion for words, you've got a little jump start on a lot of people. But even that, I don't think you'll be able to achieve that B, dear Father.
I think I can memorize those travels 1 week.
Good. I'm looking forward to testing you 1 week from this Sunday. All right, dear Father. So this will be if we're focusing on more specifically for Russell, I'm looking for picture like 2 potted plants in front of me, Dad. And let's see, in my left hand, I got Harry Lorraine Super Memory Super Student book. And I'm looking for fertile dirt where I can plant this seed where it'll start to grow. So either with children or teenagers or parents or teachers or school board members or a school president or a school principal or a senator or a congressman or a congresswoman or whoever it might be that says, hey, this makes sense to me, teaching children how to memorize before we ever tell them what to memorize. And oh, by the way, Russell's trying to plant this other seed, teaching children, teenagers, adults, senior citizens how to create. And Russell's saying that the method for memorizing is basically the same method for creating. So we use our brain in the same way. Sometimes, like you, dear Father, you're creating, so you do use your brain in this way. But it's not consciously understood for memorizing, and that's why you too will struggle as you try to remember. All right, I'm a little winded. How you doing?
Good. Thank you for calling.
Okay.
God bless you. And we'll see you Sunday.
Well, do me a favor. Contemplate this, and once I wrap things up here, I'll call you back and we'll say a prayer together.
Okay, Russell.
Okay, dear Father. Call you soon.
Thanks, Russell.
Thank you, Dad. Thank you for letting me share with you, and may you pass this test 1 week from this Sunday. Or I'm pulling your golf cart, man. I'm locking that sucker up.
How does walk?
That's okay. I hope this doesn't last too many weeks because summer's coming. So I hope you can get that test passed before June or July arrives.
I'll just call a taxi.
Good. I know. Remember, don't think of all those excuses. Focus on passing this test.
I'm thinking hard.
I know. That's okay.
Remember,
Remember, our children wish they could give an excuse as well, but they can't give out an excuse because they have to. They must pass tests to move forward to eventually graduate. So unfortunately, all the excuses go by the sideline, and the pressure is on them, and that pressure is what we need to get off their backs, dear Father. Okay. Talk to you soon. Yep, I'll call you soon. Bye-bye, Dad. Goodbye. Are you willing to accept this same challenge? Are you willing to receive from me, not the fifth graders, Scientific Revolution Age of Enlightenment test, 20 questions. Oh, by the way, he believed one person should have the power like a monarchy. Who would that be? But are you willing to receive from me list of 54 African capitals and have me test you? And if you don't pass the test, I'm pulling your car. You can't drive anymore. Not until the next week when I'll retest you again. That's the challenge. That's the weight. That's the burden. That's on our children, our teenagers, our teachers, America's K-12 public education. So now is not the time to be paying teachers more because that'll push this seed deeper into the dirt instead of having this seed take root and grow. I'm looking to water these seeds, but first I got to be able to plant them somewhere. You share with me where you believe these seeds can be planted so that they grow. K-12 public education school, charter school, private school, a congressman or senator or teacher or school principal who understands. Based on W. Edwards Deming, only the method matters. It's very simple, it's very clear, but remember, this seed was buried 1954, I believe it is, when mandatory testing first was initiated. And ever since, more dirt has been pushed on this seed. So here we are, 2018. If we pay teachers more, that's like piling more dirt on top of that seed. I'm trying to get the dirt out of the way and say, hey, the fly in the ointment of K-12 public education. Instead, plant these two seeds. A method for memorizing and a method for creating. Yeah, you got to read the books. You got to practice. You got to look at what worked, what didn't work. And eventually, this grows into a wonderful presentation. Bush of fruit, bearing fruit. Creating is the same way. You got to learn it. You got to practice it. Slow but sure master the creative process. And eventually, it too blossoms. So won't you help me to share this? Like, comment, and share. And let me know if you're up for the test. I'll send you this ASAP as a PDF. Email Russell at createk12change.org, Russell at createwhatmatters.com, and I will send you this PDF and then personally test you 7 days from hence sent. Thank you for participating.